Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and this video is going to be a Diablo 3 kind of Barb 101 encompassing everything about Barbarian this season. And joining me is going to be Mefesto, who is currently the rank 1 seasonal hardcore Barbarian, and I think he's number 2 on softcore. So he's actually somebody I played with on opening night of the season. He's an extremely efficient and knowledgeable player, so I'm excited to sit down with him and pick his brain for a little bit. So without further ado, let's get into it. Hey, what's up, man? Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey guys, I'm Mefesto from NCG. I main Barb, but I kind of dabble elsewhere. But yeah, um, I'm here to talk a little bit about Barb, I guess.
Cool, sounds good. Thanks for joining me. And is Barb your favorite class? Like, why did you play Barb this season?
I've been playing Barb for pretty much ever. I started playing Barb actually back in Diablo 2, and I kind of just stuck with it ever since then. Literally was my first class that I ever made in Diablo 2. Um, and yeah, played Barb and Vanilla, good old Whirlwind Barb, and just kind of have stuck and kind of kept going with it.
Cool. Yeah, nice. Now I guess I just have a couple of general questions about Diablo 3 before I jump into like Barb specific. Is there anything that like bothers you right now, or like anything specifically that you think would be a good idea to change? Anything like that?
Um, Barb specifically, I think Barb's in a pretty good spot right now, as a pair like compared to historically. Like the damage of it is really, really, really high. Like it has some of the top solo clears out of any class right now. Um, it's like honestly not that bad to play either in terms of the new Band of Might buff that they added makes it a lot more hardcore friendly as well.
Hmm.
Previously, um, Charge Barb was like really difficult to play in terms of like hardcore versus softcore because hardcore you had just like people in softcore would go super glass cannon, they would run insanity with focus and restraint, and you just couldn't do that on hardcore because you just can't take the proc and keep going like they do on softcore.
Hmm.
So, um, in terms of how Barb's like anything that's annoying about them or anything like that right now, or anything that changed, like they're in a great spot, like the best spot they've ever been in. I'm pretty happy with it.
Cool. Did you play? Yeah, I guess you kind of said you played vanilla, so you've been around for a while. Do you play any other games or just Diablo?
Um, I'll occasionally dabble in other stuff, like I occasionally will play like Hearthstone, Overwatch, or something like that.
What's
Um,
your SR on Overwatch?
oh, I literally just play with a couple of real life friends that are much better at than me and didn't really play that much, but I just kind of fool around with them. And it's a way to hang out with them.
Gotcha. Now, are you gonna try to get number one on other classes, or are you just gonna mainly focus on Barb?
I'm gonna try and take number one, Wiz, hardcore Wiz as well.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yep.
Have you died yet on like a character that was trying to push number one?
I died on a not this season. I have not died this season on a character that really mattered. I had a Trag Necro die early season, like this was maybe 4 days into the season when we were trying to get Augs going,
Hmm.
which was a real pain because it was like we were just about to have Augs for um, our Rathmas and really get XP going, and of
Hmm.
course I died, lost my main gems, lost. Um, that was about it. But then I was getting a power level and just like died during the power level with a level 100 gem of V's in. 4 days into the season, that hurt a lot. But no, I haven't died on anything that really truly mattered yet.
Well, that's good.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, for sure. Um, one of the topics right now I just have to ask is botting. Do you feel it's a problem on hardcore? Like, are you able to keep up with people that are botting, or if are you suspicious of anybody at the top level botting?
As far as NA goes, no. Like I know it's more of a problem in EU. Like a couple of seasons ago, we had, I bit of a rivalry going with another group in EU uh, from the WC clan, like WDU and them, and he got banned live stream for botting, and it was hard to keep up with them. They were like literally like 700 plus Paragon ahead of us, and like you look at a pretty well-known botter on EU, Odin, he's almost 2600 Paragon at the moment,
Well, I think
and
I've heard of people being like 3,000 already on like softcore.
oh yeah, softcore easily. People are at like 3,000 as well. Hardcore, I think it's a little bit more challenging for people to bot, so um, it's not as common.
Yeah, I agree.
But
Cool. Well, I guess we'll just go into like the farming for Barbarian. Like, what do you do for T13? What's kind of like the best build you think? And I think I'm inspecting your guy right now.
yeah, so the IK charge build that I use for farming is really strong. Like I don't use it in groups ever because it's if you miss a charge, it's really annoying because then you're walking for the next little while and then you just fall really far behind and then there's nothing for you to charge because they've killed it all. So that's like a solo farming only kind of build,
Okay.
but it's very, very, very strong. Um, like you just one charge an elite pack and it's dead and you move on. So it's just based purely on movement speed. So like I'll put in even like Gogok, Wreath, and Boon of the Hoarder and just go super, super, super fast.
And for the
And
actual gear, it looks like you use the two-handed IK weapon and some
yeah,
Ray
the
cores.
gears fixed as far as like you can interchange the Rakers and IK pieces, because you are stuck with. 1 second, someone needs to talk to me. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. No problem.
Sorry about that.
Oh, it's cool.
So the charge. Sorry. So I'm like the pieces you can like interchange. Um, So, like for example, it doesn't matter specifically if you have the Raker's gloves on versus the IK chest. You can switch them out. Doesn't matter.
Hmm.
But you're stuck with those pieces being in those spots for the most part because, like, you even need Rorgon. Like, those are your options.
Hmm.
Um, Otherwise, like rings are interchangeable. In that, I think using Avarice and um, I think I even like do Saj. I think, yeah. So I do Saj most of the time. I do Saj um, in that as well. Sometimes it
Instead
depends.
of the Banamite.
Instead of the Bandamite, you can do it. It's like it definitely makes you really squishy though. But for most people, I'd recommend just doing Avarice, Bandamite, or is the ring slots, and then the neck is whatever you feel like doing. Um, I just threw on a trifecta that I had,
Hmm.
and like you can tell, like I didn't even really try that hard on the rolls. I just kind of threw some stuff on, and it's still super, super, super strong.
So for
Like
T13 for the Barb, would a Hellfire amulet be really awesome?
T13 for the barb. Yeah, sure. Like it's not necessary though. Like you can literally put on any good neck you have, and it's not the end of the world. Like you have more than enough damage for T13.
Hmm.
So, but starting off, definitely an extra passive helps.
Cool. Well, yeah,
The
because not everybody is 2,000 Paragon. So even if somebody was like
Yeah,
700 Paragon, would it be pretty easy to do T13?
yeah, very easy.
Cool.
Um, and then the only other like real change between uh like a pushing spec that I added in is I ran with Boonable Kathos instead, so that lowers the cooldown of your Wrath Berserker,
Hmm.
and that's really clutch because if you have enough Max Fury, you can just throw one boulder and have your Wrath Berserker back. Versus if you throw like normal build, you have to throw two.
Hmm.
So when you're doing speed farming, you're having to like charge, and you're constantly going, and you really don't need to throw a boulder to get your health back or anything like that. So you just charge and then on whenever you need Wrath Berserker back, you just empty and then press it again. So
And so that's kind of like T13. How does it change for like speed GRs? Do you use your barb to farm speed GRs for like gem
I
levels?
was I did I was doing around about like 75s in 2 minutes
Hmm.
when I did them. I didn't do a whole lot of them, but the only thing that's annoying on them is fighting the RG, because if you get like an RG that spawns ads, it can make it tiresome. But normally, like you're still in a 75, I would kill the RG in like 7 seconds.
Hmm.
But um, still can be dangerous if you're running a squishy build.
And what changes for the build? Do you just use the normal solo build
It's
that you have?
no, I was still running NEMs because you're still almost one-shotting elites. You could put on APDs if you're feeling a little squishy.
Hmm.
Um, Otherwise, it's essentially the same. As it goes higher, you'd switch Battle Rage from Ferocity to Bloodshed. Um, just that itself is a huge damage increase versus like the rune that I have for my farming is just movement speed.
Hmm.
Um, but it doesn't change a whole lot more than that.
And instead of Avarice Band, you would put on Convention of Elements?
I would put on Saj for doing those kind of things.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, so Banamite and Saj instead of the Avarice.
And then otherwise, it's basically the same as T13.
Yep,
Cool. And what about bounties? What do you do when you're gonna do like T13 bounties?
I would use a Whirlwind Barb.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would not use an IK barb to do bounties. It just doesn't kill stuff cleanly in that regard. Like if you need to kill like 100 enemies in like this spot, you're gonna get real annoyed when you're trying to charge around and you run out of charges.
Hmm.
Um, so whirlwind, I would say, is the way to go if you're doing bounties.
So, but you personally, you actually use like a witch doctor. You built yourself a witch
Yeah,
doctor to do bounties,
yeah.
right?
I built myself a witch doctor to do bounties. Just because it's like kind of the friendliest that I know of. DH is pretty good, UEDH,
Hmm.
but I built myself a witch doctor because it's just the fastest in terms of from point A to point B. You can go super fast.
Now,
Yeah.
sorry, but when you're playing Barb, and let's say somebody wanted to copy you and build a witch doctor, what's the best way to do that? Like, how did you get all the gear you needed for to build that witch doctor?
Mostly from people just dropping me stuff. But like otherwise, I was just going on a witch doctor and gambling with my blood shards.
Hmm.
And like you don't need amazing gear to do uh, a T13 bounty with it. Like it's a really strong build.
Hmm.
So uh, just like maybe an ancient weapon and ancient offhand and a good short man's, and other than that, you're just kind of cruising.
Cool.
You can have full non-ancients, doesn't really matter.
All right, and then moving into like pushing for number one. I think you're number one right now, aren't you?
Yep,
On the Barb. Let me pull it up here.
I have rank 1 world barb by like 4 GR levels.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
So what's your philosophy on that? Like, when somebody gets within one or two of you, do you try and push the limit and go higher, or what are you thinking there?
Just every once in a while, I've just been plugging keys. Like, I had a really close one actually last night, plugging 114s. I spawned Butcher with no pylons, and I had 4 minutes and 10 seconds to kill him, and I needed another like 30 seconds, and I would have killed him.
So with the when Barbarian's pushing for number one, the RG is the toughest part. Sounds
Yep.
like.
Yep. Um, it's like it's a bit of a fish as well. Like I was kind of talking about with losing charges when there's ads. If you get an RG that spawns ads, you can't clear it. Like
And
I got
and why
I
is
once
that?
had uh, because you have to hit a minimum of 4 mobs with the amount of CDR that you have to get your charge back, and if you hit less than that, you don't.
Hmm.
So you run out of charges, or you need, if you look at the Rakers uh, set per set bonus, if Furious Charge refunds if you hit one enemy.
Hmm.
Um, so you either need a single target or you need four or more. And so bosses that kind of just slowly spit out ads. So for example, Choker, um, um, Perendi, bosses like those are just unplayable because you just constantly are running out of charges.
So, like on that note, what's the ideal RGs you're looking for?
Ideal RG, honestly, the best that I've done on an RG was actually Binder, which was kind of an interesting situation in that I ended up. So, RG fight is a whole monster unto itself, in that if you are looking at a charge barb, I can show you right now. So, if I charge from point A to point B, that's a long charge. That takes a long time. You get one stricken stack from it.
Hmm.
If I charge like that, that's a lot faster.
Like a little short charge.
Yeah. So what you need to do is what's called a wall glitch. So you, um, and you can find this on my Twitch as well. I've got a couple examples. Is you need to put a RG in a spot that's either on the opposite side of a map, kind of obstruction, as you, and you charge into the obstruction, or you need to put him next to a wall, and you stand next to him and charge the wall.
Okay, so you don't actually charge the RG.
No. So you like the charge has a pretty big hit radius, and so long as you hit him with that hit radius, you will get your charge back, and you will stack stricken on him and do damage on him. So if you'll find that even like if they're standing on the other side of something, you can still hit them, and that's like the ideal situation because you'll have your ancients out, they'll be over attacking the boss on the other side, and you can pin them in certain places as well. Like um, I've had, for example, Cold Snap, and I've pinned them in kind of a little part of the map, and then I'm on the outside charging, so he can't melee me either, and he's just stuck fighting my ancients the entire time.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So yeah, so that's pretty important with doing charge barb. Um, so if you know how to wall glitch, you're going to kill RGs way, way, way faster.
Cool. Okay.
Um,
And what's the actual like build? Like it looks like same weapon and kind of everything's the
yeah,
same except for ancient Parthon defenders,
yep.
and you don't use a
Um,
unity.
nope. If you're low Paragon, what I'd recommend doing is dropping COE for Unity and then putting a Wreath of Lightning instead of ESO. Um, but for high Paragon, COE is just way, way better. Um, you have, like, but it's a little bit of a different play style playing around COE,
Hmm.
but you'll clear much higher rifts if you can squeeze COE in.
And as far as the skills and the passives, is there anything, or and the cube, is there like anything of note to go over?
No, skills are pretty much the same. The only difference with passives are you don't run the um, Boon and Kathos. You run like Relentless, or not Relentless, sorry, Ruthless. Um, and that's really the only difference between my farming as well as the Battle Rage running Bloodshed.
Are
Bloodshed is huge, huge damage when you're up in those tiers.
on the now I don't see you running. Oh, you're talking about the rune and battle rage. Okay. Um,
Yeah.
now on your passive, do you not have the cheat death?
It is on my amulet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see it now. I was like, are you crazy? Like,
Yeah,
what are you
no.
doing here?
Yeah.
So if somebody were playing on softcore, what would be the fifth passive that you would want, instead of ruthless, rampage, berserker rage, and brawler?
I would still run with the passive. So uh, it just allows you to fight different RGs. So in hardcore, I've decided to run with SO because it opens up a lot of RGs that you can't fight if you run Wreath. So all the people in softcore are running with Wreath of Lightning instead of SO. Um,
Hmm.
the reason for that being it plays off of standoff. So 500% of your movement speed is what, or it increases by 500% of your movement speed. And
Hmm.
so the damage bonus from Wreath is actually better than something like Powerful or something like that, just from having that movement speed.
Hmm.
Um, but for uh, just in terms of hardcore, it's not really that viable for fighting these RGs because, for example, my 113 clear, I got Cold Snap. And Cold Snap wouldn't be playable if I wasn't running ESO.
You,
Versus,
no,
yeah,
go ahead and finish.
versus like softcore, they're able to like, oh, I procced, I just keep charging into this wall and hope that he doesn't get me again. And that's just not the case with hardcore. Um, so it just opens up a lot more RGs that you can fight by running ESO instead.
Well, and that's definitely viable because I'm looking at the leaderboards right now, and even on softcore, you would be number one right now if it wasn't for the bot or chainer. I think he's
Yep.
been somebody I saw on Reddit. Somebody made a topic, and he's had 97% playtime this season.
Yep. Yeah. So it's pretty obvious he's botting. If you look at his profile too, you look at seasons. This is like he has. I guess this was like an alt account that he made back in season 2. He has 9 hours back in season 2, and
Hmm.
then this is fresh account. So like,
So
if
he's
that doesn't
playing.
tell you
Yeah, he's playing an account that he doesn't really care if it gets banned or whatever.
exactly.
So yeah,
Um.
you would be number one on softcore if it wasn't for him. That's
Yep.
crazy.
I think all told throughout the world, I'm rank 5 barb, hardcore and softcore.
Oh, that's really good. Congrats.
Thank you.
I guess, one of the last things I wanted to ask you about is the group meta. Like, how does Barb fit in the group, like for speed farming GRs, or, is there any way a Barb would ever be a damage dealer for a group, or are they only like a support and that type of stuff?
It's funny you asked that because we actually tried charge barb in a 125 today.
Hmm.
So rank 1 world potentially. We actually started with 115. We uh, I think we started with 110. We cleared it in 6 minutes. So this was just charge barb replacing witch doctor.
Hmm.
So we cleared it in um, like literally six. I think it was like 6.5 minutes. We bumped it up to 115. We cleared it in like 10 minutes. And then we did a 119. We cleared it in like 13. And so we were like, well, like why not? Let's see if we can rank 1. And we were actually keeping up with the timer the entire way through, kind of mediocre stuff. Um, and so it would have been really really funny. And we were tempted to, but we decided to just go back to Witch Doctor to see, and it doesn't quite compare. It's kind of the tier 2 DPS, but like you 100% could have a charge barb as your DPS instead of the Witch Doctor if you wanted. Like it's totally viable in terms of you can clear rifts, which is hilarious.
And for 99% of players who maybe aren't gonna play enough to get rank one,
Yep.
if you're just farming XP or something, like a charge barb sounds like it'd be great.
It does perfectly. Like I was so safe the entire time too, just between APDs and Band of Might and together as one from the Ancients. You're just super 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 tanky, and I didn't proc it ever. We even had like disgusting packs on us, and it was just fine.
So a really hardcore noob friendly type of build would be the barb charge barb.
Yes. Um. Honestly, like so long as you don't play on proc, there's no reason ever that you should die on a charge bar. Um, besides like lagging out or something like that. But
Hmm.
if or if you got like super unlucky and got walled in something somewhere. But anyway, like so long as you just like you play smart in terms of if you proc and you get out and you just make a beeline for the door to get out, sit in stasis or whatever, you're fine. Like you can make a beeline right for the exit, and so long as you're not panicking and wasting your charges on nothing, then you're fine. You should never really die on a charge barb.
And I heard you talk about stasis. Could you elaborate on that for people who don't know what you meant by that?
Sure. So stasis is kind of just what we've called, um, where if you enter, like, go through any sort of loading screen, so you enter a rift, you change levels, whatever, you, I guess, like, they had an issue with people loading in before they actually, like, would show on their screen that they were loaded in somewhere. And
Hmm.
so people were dying before they were even in, like, even in the rift. So they decided to um, give what essentially is an immunity to damage slash to aggroing mobs for 1 minute. It lasts exactly 1 minute, and so long as you did not uh, do any actions after entering that loading screen, you are completely immune to damage.
Now, does that always work? Because I could swear I've heard of cases where that didn't.
So, so yeah, so that's the thing is it always works except that in that there's different things that break stasis, and it's knowing those things that break stasis. So for example, like if you accept a GR while you have your stash open, then just the action of the game closing your stash can break stasis for you when you enter the GR.
Okay.
So there's weird things like that. For example, even like having talked to Kadala, or like I know when we're doing gold farming, the person who puts the ring in because they've got their inventory open, a
Hmm.
lot of the time doesn't get stasis because they didn't close their inventory before they clicked on the portal.
So you have to have you have to have a clean slate and just
Yeah.
click accept.
Yeah. You also then have to not double click the exits, like be careful about it. A lot of the time what I'll do is if I'm like in a dangerous situation
Hmm.
and I click on a door, then go back through that door because I wasn't sure that if I clicked it or double clicked it. Because if
Hmm.
you like are spamming at a door, just slamming your mouse, going like click, damn it, and then you go through, it probably read some of those clicks afterwards as you being on the next level and you don't have stasis.
Cool. Okay.
So there's weird things like that. It is very reliable if you understand the things that can break you out of it.
Okay. Cool. And I guess in conclusion, I'll let you tell people where they can find your Twitch or anything that you kind of wanted to plug at the end here.
Yeah. I don't stream very often, but I normally stream like my pushes and stuff like that. So if you want to find me, you're welcome to ask me questions or whatever. As well as my Twitch is um, twitch.tv/mef_so like that.
Yeah, and I'll put it on the video.
Sweet.
They're remodeling my bathroom. I don't know if you can hear that pounding or not, but
Yeah, yeah, just a tiny bit.
that's funny. But
Um,
yeah, I'll put it on the screen for everybody, so
Sweet.
that'll be easy. Cool. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate you coming and giving me some insight on the barb. Take it easy.
Yeah, no worries.
Alrighty, that was the video. So in an effort to try to keep it at a reasonable length, sometimes I don't go over every single little detail, but if we miss something that you wish we would have covered or you have a question, just drop it down in the comments and I will make sure and do my best to get the answer for you. All right, thanks for watching. Have a good day. Peace.